Hello everybody, today we're doing a video for GTA Car Kits in a 2011 Porsche Cayenne with a CDR31 radio. And it will be similar installation if you have the same radio in your Porsche Boxster or Porsche Cayman. As you can see, it's already installed in this car and it's paired to our iPhone wirelessly. And you can control CarPlay here with the touchscreen. You can also add a reversing camera to this module. As you know, this radio is not equipped with a reverse camera. And none of the features will be disabled from your original radio. And to switch between the modes, we wired and installed this hidden button, which you press to switch between the original system and our CarPlay module. When it's installed on this particular radio, don't expect too high of a quality because the original radio is very pixelated. So it works pretty good, but don't expect it to be HD quality. As you can see pixels, but that's just due to the age and how this radio is made. So now we're gonna go ahead and show you how to install it. So the tools you're gonna need is a T27 Torx, a panel removal tool, and our hook tool. So first we're gonna use these tools to remove the two vents so we can remove the radio. To remove the vents, if you're gonna look inside, they have these locks. So there's one lock here, and we'll show you when we take them out, and it's going to be easier to see it. So there's two on this side, two on the outer side, and one on top. So you would pull the locks, and at the same time with your panel removal tool get underneath. Once you remove it, there's also this piece of plastic. When you're putting the vents back, make sure to put it on, and it's same on both sides. Once you remove the vent, there's a connection on the bottom here, and you just pull on it and disconnect it. So same thing on the other side. You're gonna get in and first unlock the locks. You pull them out with our tool. Same on the other side. Once you do that, you're gonna hold the lock so it doesn't go inside when you're removing it, when you're removing the vent. Once you remove it, same thing, you're gonna see this plastic piece which you're gonna have to put back, and there's a connection at the bottom. So here we're just going to demonstrate what we're doing with the locks. So as you can see, these are the locks, they're metal. And when we insert our tool, we're grabbing it from the inside and we're pulling them in, and that's what unlocks them, as you can see. So there's total of 5 locks, so there's 2 on each side and there's 1 on top. So on the passenger side here, with the door open, we're first going to remove this fuse box cover. With our panel removal tool. When you're putting it back, this edge will go in first. So this is the fuse box we have to get to. And for now, we're going to remove the vent. And to do that, we're going to remove these 2 bolts, and they're both T20. Now on the inside here, we have the exact same locks. So there's 2 of them. We're again going to pull on them before removing the vent. And here again, you're gonna have the connection on the bottom, which you just pull out. And these are the 2 locks that we're talking about on the side. And if it's not coming out, there's also 1 lock on top. So now we're gonna remove the radio, and to do that, you're gonna remove 4 T27 Torx. There's 2 on this side and 2 on this side. So now the radio is ready to come out. So you're just gonna grab it and start pulling it out. You're gonna lift it up so you don't scratch the shift lever. So at the back here, you're gonna have 2 connections. One is the main harness, and to disconnect it, there's a clip at the bottom. And you're gonna open it and release it. And then these are the antennas. So for that, there's a clip here, which you're gonna press and remove it. Now we're going to take this radio and show you what we're going to install inside of it. So this is the CDR31 radio that we removed, and we're going to install these things to it. So there's the metal box with the module inside, and these video and audio cables. So the tools you're going to need is electrical tape, a Phillips screwdriver, a very small one, and our hook tool. So first thing we're going to do is disconnect the screen from the body of the radio. To do that, we're first going to remove these two bolts on top using our Phillips. Now we're going to use our hook tool, and there are these clips that now hold the plastic in place. So you're just going to push and at the same time release these clips. There's also two clips on the side here, two on the other. So we're going to flip it over. Before disconnecting the rest of it, we're going to remove this small panel underneath. It's the same thing. We're just going to push and at the same time release clip by clip. And at this point, you can separate the screen from the body. This is the inner portion of the radio. 4 silver bolts here, and there's 2 black bolts right here. So 6 total. We're going to go ahead and remove them. So now you can just use your fingers again and separate this cover from the body of the radio. And we're going to put it away for now. Now we're going to flip the radio over, and here we're going to remove this shiny portion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts that hold it. And just remember, these 2 are extra long, so when you're putting everything back, the extra long ones go right here. So now again, we're going to use our fingers and separate this portion. Now we're going to flip the radio over. So our goal is to mount this metal box inside the stereo, and we're going to attach it with a double-sided tape. There's 2 cable connections that you have to make. One is this one for the touch screen, and when you're putting it in, just make sure that there's these ridges, that they are towards the top, and it just goes in. Then this is a radio cable. So again, you're going to see here that there's the shiny part. This one is towards the top portion, because if you flip it and plug it in like that, you will not get any video signal. So you're just going to take it and plug it in. So first thing we're going to do is take our 2 cables and run them through the radio, because right here there's an opening in all the CDR radios, so these cables will not get jammed. Now we're going to take this cable and also run it through the stereo. Take your time, don't rush this. So now we're gonna remove this protective layer from the tape. So we're gonna take our box. As you can see, that's how I'm mounting it. So there's some space for these wires to go in here. You have this wire that comes out from the back. First, we're gonna put back this silver shiny part. So as you can see, there's an opening for the 2 wires. And this cable here is not getting pinched by this bolt. Again, the long ones go into this 2 holes. Again, make sure it's not getting jammed here. So now we're going to flip it over again. At this point, you can put this portion. So here, once it clicks in place, all the silver bolts are the same, except for 2 black ones are what holding this CD changer in place. The rest, the 4 bolts, are silver, and they go around the perimeter. So at this point, the portion for the body of the radio is complete. So now we're gonna add this cable to our screen. So this is the back of the screen, and we have to undo these 2 connections. So you can use your fingers, or we're gonna use our hook tool. Be careful not to damage anything. So now this is our cable. We're gonna flip this one over, connect it and lock it. And now we're gonna put the original into our cable. Once it's in, just lock it. Same for this one. We're gonna connect our connection into the original slot, and then the original cable into our cable. So you end up with something like this. At this point, as you can see, it's kind of sticking out, and to protect it, we're going to use our electrical tape. We're going to take it. Now we're going to take the original body of the radio, and we're going to connect these two back together. So when you're connecting it together, you got to make sure that this cable doesn't get jammed or anything. So that's the most important thing. It has to go into the slot. And that's it. It's been locked in place. So here what we end up with is two connections, and you're going to connect them together. And at this point, again, we can use our electrical tape. That way, when you're installing it, there's less chances of you damaging this. And then you can neatly cover the whole thing. So now the last portion, putting back this plastic cover. And we're gonna route this button. So this button activates CarPlay. And as you can see, when the radio is installed, we're going to mount it here in a hidden way below the stereo. So if you want to activate it, you just press on it. And when you're doing this button, make sure that it's nowhere in the middle, because here there's a channel and it would damage the wire, but right here to the side is okay. And again, you can use electrical tape. So now the last part is to secure the screen with our two remaining bolts. What you should end up with is 3 wires. And this is what's going to go into our module. And the rest of the stuff is hidden inside the stereo. And we have the button to activate CarPlay. So now we're going to start connecting everything into this car. So first we're going to connect the main harness that comes with our stereo. We're going to take the original with the lock open. We're going to plug it in and close it. So next we're going to connect the auxiliary cable for sound. So you have audio in. We're going to take the supplied auxiliary cable, connect it to the in, and on the other end there's audio out. Next, this is the power cable that we have to wire to the fuse box. You're going to take it and flip it around so it's behind this bracket of the stereo. And now, because we removed the 2 vents, now you can just feed it behind. And it's really kind of hard to get it with your hands, unless you have really small hands. So we're going to use a metal rod. So with the door open, we're going to take our metal rod and feed it through. You can use a coat hanger or something similar. Once you have it here, we're going to take our cable and use some electrical tape to tie it to this metal rod. Here we have it on the other side. So here we're going to take our fuse connection and we're going to connect it to this one right here, because we already tested it. Your car might be different, but with the voltmeter we suggest to find the fuse that only switches on when you turn on the ignition. In this car is this particular fuse, but in yours might be different. So once you pulled the cable through, you can put the vent back and the side panel, because we completed everything we needed to do on this side. So next we're going to wire our microphone, and in this particular car we're going to wire it here above the stereo. And this microphone is only used for Siri or Google Assistant. You would still be using your original microphone for phone calls. First we're going to get with our panel removal tool. As you can see, there's plenty of open space. So we're going to take our microphone and we're going to feed it through here. So we clip the microphone under this panel and it's going to sit right there. And there's this grill which will let all the sound through. You can close this panel. Now you have your microphone cable here at the back of the stereo, which will plug into our module. So this is the main harness for power for the module. Just plug it in. Also gonna plug in the microphone. Now we're also gonna attach the Wi-Fi antenna. So now this is the original radio which we modified. So we have 3 cables coming out of it. So first we're gonna connect the touch cable, and it plugs in right here. Next, this is the video cable, and it will be to LCD out. This is the cable for the activating of CarPlay, which we're gonna plug in right here. And this connection is kind of loose, so maybe putting some tape over it. So we're also gonna wire this cable for wired CarPlay or wired AndroidAuto, and it's a good space here for it to come out from the side. So we're gonna take this cable and we're gonna move this panel away a little bit to get it on the inside. And once it's on the inside, we're gonna use our fingers to catch it here. And then as you can see, you just have this USB right there, which is kind of hidden. We're gonna take this end and plug it into the USB port right here, CP USB. With our CarPlay module, you can also add rear view camera. So we already have a rear view camera with the RCA female or male ran all the way to the back. So we're just gonna plug it into the rear camera input here. So that way when you put the car in reverse, you're gonna see the image from the reverse camera. So now we're gonna take this plug, the main plug for the radio, and plug it in to the back here. Make sure it locks, and then these are the antennas. So here in the armrest, we're gonna put in our auxiliary dummy plug. So once you have everything like this connected, it's a good time to test everything to make sure everything is working. And we're also gonna do touchscreen calibration and turn on the car to the accessory position. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip the module. These are the dip switches. So first you gotta make sure that number 1 is on. That's the required one for the CDR radio. We're gonna turn on dip switch number 2 and press the reset button. You're gonna look at your screen and you're gonna see these yellow pluses. So you're just gonna go through the sequence until you see it. So now you're gonna put the radio down. You're gonna turn off this dip switch number 2 and again press the reset button. You're gonna wait for the module to load. Also for the sound from the module, you have to switch to auxiliary. So we're gonna switch to auxiliary. Once you switch to the auxiliary, we're gonna press the button underneath the stereo. And as you can see, it switched to CarPlay because we already paired our phone wirelessly to it. So you're just gonna test sound at this point and make sure the touchscreen is working. Okay, so the sound is working. And once you make sure everything is working, you can start putting everything back. So here, we're gonna move the original harness, and you're gonna see there's plenty of space behind the radio over there in that cavity. So that's where we're gonna put everything, including our module and all these wires. So as you can see, the module's inside. So when you're putting the radio back, you gotta try to guide that this main harness goes above here. So once the radio is back in place and the holes are lining up and there's no gap, you can put the bolts back. And you also got to make sure that the 2 cables for the vents are not somewhere fallen behind, because when you're putting it back, sometimes the cables can get dragged inside. So now you can put the 4 bolts back. So with the bolts installed, now we're gonna install the vents. And as I mentioned earlier, you have to put back these 2 rubber pieces. So there's 1 on each side. Then you're gonna connect the connection here. Once you connect it, now we're gonna take the other side vent. Same thing, the inner portion needs this rubber piece put back in place. And that's it. At this point, the installation is complete. And so as you can see, everything is hidden, and the button underneath to activate CarPlay is also quite hidden. So it's not intrusive at all. And you're gonna now test the whole thing for the last time. So at this point, we tested everything. The sound is working, the touchscreen is working, and now the installation is complete. Again, this was a video for GTA Car Kits. I hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time.